A slugfest in LA after a first half that put us to sleep. We got all the excitement that we could possibly handle in the second half. We leave California with a point. Should we have had 3 or should we have had 0? We'll talk about that and more when we get into our player rankings, which starts right now. And of course, want to thank Pat Connolly Tavern for sponsoring this channel and supporting this channel and helping me keep my internet bill paid. And you can thank them as well. Next time you're in Dogtown or at the zoo or at Forest Park, want to grab a bite to eat or something to drink, they are a St. Louis institution since 1942, located at the corner of Oakland and Tam. Pat Connolly Tavern, a city on tap bar. And also, if you enjoy good live music, they have live Irish music a few times a week. So be sure to check them out. Pat Connolly Tavern. All right, so here we go. This is our segment where we rank our players, whether they smashed it, whether they were good, whether they were meh, whether they were bad, or whether they are trash. And catching up to some of the comments here, we'll talk about Josh Yaro pretty quickly here. Yaro could have been better, but we'll talk about him when we get there. Some of the ratings for the players. I assume, Jerry, you're getting this off of Fatma. Maybe Seti is 7.6, Ostrak 7.0, Horn 7.7, Benny was an 8.1. So without further ado, we're going to start off in net with, and I'm going to take any and all drama out of this. Ben Lunt absolutely smashed it, and he is the man of the match, period, end of story. I don't think anyone is going to argue that. Big time game. I'm literally watching him stuff Denny Bwanga as we speak. I made the comparison. This is like Jake Lloyd going up against Darth Maul, and this time Jake Lloyd got the dub. Really incredible performance by Ben Lunt today. He is the reason why we are returning to St. Louis with a point. What more can be said about him and how he's filled in since Berkey's been hurt? When we've needed him to step up and have big matches and big time moments, Ben Lunt's been there. And this is going to be, even though he did allow 2 goals to Denny Bwanga, who is a special kind of sauce, he still is was at an incredible game. He actually took away 2 goals from Bwanga, as Oscar points out. Post was also an honorable second for man of the match as well, but incredible game by Ben Lunt today. He is our man of the match, and he absolutely smashed it today. Next player we're going to talk about is Kyle Hebert. So Kyle Hebert started out in right wing back, and then he switched over to left wing back, and then by the end of the game, he was back on the right side. Mixed bag performance from him today. I thought he did some things that I really liked. In general, but he also was responsible for leaving Denny Bwanga absolutely unmolested and unmarked on the goal that he scored, the first one. It was overall, I don't think Hebert was bad, but again, he shows his limitations. He was only 14 to 25 passing this game. He is not it if you are wanting him to generate any sort of offense, any sort of transition. We were talking in the first half about how we just cannot transition out of defense, and Kyle Hebert is a part of that problem. He is just not a good transition player at all. He is part of that crew that when you talk about that always pass side to side, I mean, he is kind of that guy. So Kyle Hebert, I'm seeing Oscar saying meh for Kyle Hebert, Jerry saying meh minus. I'm not going to put him in bad, but I'll put him in meh. But I think, Jerry, you hit it right on the head here. Meh minus. He almost goes down to bad because of the non-marking of Bwanga, but he did do some positive things today as well. So I'm going to put him in meh, and I think Ben agrees with that as well. Someone that I'm not going to be as nice to, and I know it's so weird with Josh Yaro this year. Josh Yaro at times looks brilliant. He's been my man of the match twice this season, including that awful dirty, rotten, no good Sporting Kansas game where I thought he played exceptional despite what happened there. I can't look at his overall body of work without getting just visions of him being turned around every which way possible that a man can be turned around by Denny Bouanga. And yes, Denny Bouanga is special sauce. He is absolutely special, but Yaro's positioning and his footwork when Bouanga was pressing on him was the absolute stuff of nightmares tonight. Yes, he has some good blocks. Yes, he had 11 clearances to be fair, but Yaro just it was. I mean, you want to talk about your Jake Lloyd versus Darth Maul matchups? It was Josh Yaro versus Denny Bouanga tonight, and Denny Bouanga made him look bad. So guess what? And Aaron makes a good point here. Yaro is super athletic, can be excellent in moments. Over times, he just simply loses his mind in space and either gets undressed or turns the ball over. Yaro 76% accurate passing. That doesn't matter. I disagree. This is where, Oscar, I love you, but I'm going to disagree with you on this. Can't judge him because Bouanga does it to every player in the league. Does he do it to every player this bad though? Like does he make defenders look that bad? I mean, personally, I don't. So, and if Denny Bouanga is making a player look bad, and you have a bad category in player rankings, whether it's fair, whether it's not fair, I have to be objective here, and I'm going to have to put him in bad. I don't think he was trash, because there were some positives to his game tonight. Yes, and those positives were 11 clearances, 4 interceptions, and 6 recoveries. Yes, that's fair. But when he was made to look bad, and I had to be fair. He looked bad. When Yaro tried to dribble out on his own, it was quickly turned over. He still makes me nervous with the ball at his feet, even though his passing has improved. But yes, he makes other players look bad, but then he makes players look bad. And Yaro had a bad night, like a lot of other players do. Yeah. But yeah, Yaro's mistake ended up stealing the win. And that is 100%. Denny Bouanga, on that last goal. Granted, there were 3 defenders in the area, but Yaro needs to step up. Make a tactical foul. He wasn't even on a yellow, so take a yellow. Hack the guy down. Take a red. Take a break the next game. Have a seat. Take a breather. Let's see what Michael Wenzel can do. But if you save us if hacking down Denny Bouanga preserves an extra 2 points, do what you got to do, man. Don't just shadow him and get get turned around, like a freaking spinning top. Yeah. So Josh Yaro, I'm sorry, he's bad. He had a bad night tonight. Period. Next up is Timo Baumgartel. Timo Baumgartel, I made this analogy earlier that I think Oscar could play central center back and would at least be a meh night in and night out, because it feels like that whoever plays that position is just blessed this year. Whether it's Kessler, whether it's Timo. And Timo had a good game tonight. I thought Timo had a strong game tonight. He's a pillar out there. He's a 6'3" pillar, and someone that does not look out of place playing in that role. Good passing tonight, 25 out of 31 passing tonight. He made a few headed clearances tonight. He was really using his size to get up and get the ball. 7 clearances total, had a blocked shot, a couple interceptions. I noticed that he really held his ground this game. In fact, he was actually even 5 of 10 on long balls too. So he was trying to get the transition going. But I did notice that Timo really stood his ground this game. Like when I noticed in the Vancouver game that Timo was a little adventurous, and he was willing to play, further up the field, but like it really felt like that he did understand the assignment tonight, and that was to play strong on the back. And he played strong on the back. He anchored our defense. He played a good game. So I'm going to give him a good. I don't think anyone do you guys disagree with Timo Baumgartel? Yeah, Jerry is saying Timo was good. Anyone else? We're done talking about Josh Yaro. We're done talking about Kyle Hebert. We're on Timo now. I thought Timo had a very strong game tonight at center as our central center back. I thought he was just very strong. Next player we'll talk about, Giannis Horn. Giannis Horn started out as our left wing back, and then he kind of shifted inside as the game went on. And yeah, Ben agreeing that Timo was very good, and I agree with you on that. Giannis Horn, I thought he had his moments as well. He was very good passing today, 30 of 33 for 91%. He didn't do a whole lot on defense. It did feel that as the second half went on that he was gassed, and I think. And I'm glad to see Nilson's healthy again until he's not healthy. But I thought that when Horn was out there, he was pretty solid. He didn't have a whole lot to do on defense, though, it felt like, because Denny Bouanga, he did switch over to the right for a little while when Volum went out. But where's the words? There they are. But like for the most part, Horn didn't feel like he had a whole lot to do. Ethan just did point it out though that Horn had a nice cross for that assist though. That was Horn on that goal. And also Olivier Giroud was a non-factor, and Horn would be part of that. So I think giving Horn a good is a very fair score. He held his ground when he had to, and he played kind of two roles tonight. He played wing back, and he played left center back, and I think in both roles he was perfectly fine. I just noticed that he was a little gassed as the game went on, but he's probably getting back to fitness because he was out for a little bit. So yeah, and Oscar agrees Horn was good, so we'll go with that. Conrad Volum. So he played. He started at left wing back, and then he got his bell rung. Do you guys even remember Conrad Volum in this game? He was 12 of 15 passing. His passing was good. He was hustling like he usually was. He did have 22 touches in the limited time that he was out there. I don't really recall him doing much before he got hurt, and not in a bad way. I just honestly, I'm having a tough time remembering what he was doing out there. I guess I'll just give him meh, because we really didn't have enough of a body of work to really judge, to be quite honest. So yeah, we'll just give him a meh for that point. Alfredo Morales. All right, Oscar. This is your moment, Oscar. I both love and hate this part because I know the stigma that I have when it comes to Alfredo Morales. It is in my head now. It is deeply rooted in my head. So I need to take a drink here because this one's gonna be controversial. Didn't notice Morales in the first half. Noticed him in the second half making good plays. And then he gets the second. Then he gets the red. On a very soft second yellow. I'm torn here. I'm so torn with Morales. And the only thing I'm torn about is whether I put him in trash because of the second red, or if I just put him in bad. Because I don't think that foul was that second yellow was fair on him. You could also make the argument that if you're on a yellow, why are you playing so aggressive? Well, it's because you're a 6. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a defensive-minded guy. And to be fair, he was playing better, in my opinion, in the second half. He was doing some things that I actually kind of liked. But that first yellow, as Michael said, was pretty bad. And Oscar, Look here. That last part right here. Right here. Should know better to not foul. Player with his experience. I'm going to move him. Yeah. 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 I know you said bad. Yeah. But then again, do you think do you think him getting a red appreciably changed the game? I mean, it may have prevented us bringing on Jande Silva. Final answer. Final answer. Final answer. Carlo from Belgium thinks he's trash. Jerry doesn't think he's trash. Oscar thinks bad. Bad minus trash plus. Okay. Take a screenshot. You see where Morales is right here? If I could put him right here, I would. Maybe I should do like duplicate face cards, like so that like I could have like players stacked on top of each other, like if they're both bad or trash. I don't know, but yeah, where it is right here is where I actually rank Morales, but I'll put him in bad. I will put him in bad. Yeah, and Aaron E is saying bad as well. I think that's fair. Aaron does think that had we not gone down to 10, we wouldn't have caught LAFC napping and scored. That's a hot take. And honestly, that's not a bad take either. I don't think that's a bad take at all. And C-Square thinks that that Morales and Yaro deserve to be on the same level, whether it's bad or trash, for different reasons. For different reasons, I see that. I can see that. So I'm gonna leave Morales in bad. I think that's fair. I think that is fair. But I would kind of teeter him a little bit, but bad, because I don't think that second yellow wasn't fair. What it was very soft. But anyway, I think I belabored the point enough. Next up is Tomas Ostrak. Tomas Ostrak. He was taken out at halftime. Is he still a fitness concern, or was it just about getting Celio out there? Because I'm looking back, I'm looking at his stats in FOTMob now. 28 touches, 13 to 17 passing. He was very plucky out there. He plays a very plucky style of defense that I don't think the analytics people really like so much. Like if Michael from Chat City Tactics is in here right now, he'd probably be screaming at me, Ostrak is not a defensive player, and I probably don't have much of an argument to that. But then again, he steps up and he'll make a play. He'll make a tackle at times. Had 6 recoveries. Overall, though, like I don't think he did. I mean, he only had a half, and he didn't really have much time to shine. And again, I don't know if that's just a fitness thing or what, or if it was just a matter of getting Celio out there. But he didn't have much of an impact either way. So I'll put him in meh. And Oscar, I think we are two minds alike on that. Oscar was meh. I think that's a fair rating. Not good, not bad. He was fine. I want to see him play a full 90. And I don't know when we're going to see that, but I want to see him play a full 90. Maybe we see it against Union Omaha. Maybe. These guys right here. Maybe we see him against Union Omaha play a full 90. But yeah, you're right. He was in that first half where it was just an absolute quagmire, but he did have some good disruptors. But he was also, we weren't transitioning very well, and he's supposed to be one of the midfield links for that too. Because if you're having Morales play as that holding 6, then Ostrak should be that box to box advancing 8, and kind of wasn't. But he did have some good disruptions, as Jerry said. I think it was just meh. Just meh. Moving on now to Marcel Hartl. Marcel Hartl had a couple shots. Had 2 shots on net this game, as a matter of fact, and they were good looks. They were actually pretty good looks. Had a lot of touches in this one. It looked like he was definitely trying to pull some strings out there. 26 to 34 passing. I mean, he's I think it's fair to say at this point we're not getting St. Pauli Marcel Hartl, at least not yet. But I don't think he was bad tonight. I don't think he was bad at all. He was definitely trying to generate. He made 5 passes into the final third. So he was definitely trying out there. I liked what I saw out of Hartl tonight. What do you guys think about Hartl? Because the second half was the continuation of what I thought we were seeing from Vancouver, where we were starting to, connect the dots on offense. When we were starting to generate on offense. And Hartl was kind of a big part of that. And as Jerry said, Hartl was playing further up, which is where he needs to be. And he just looked more comfortable out there. He didn't have to run as much, probably. Ben thinks he was good. Jerry thinks he was good. I'll go with that. I'll give him a good. I think Marcel Hartl was solid. Even if we had someone on the back end of set pieces, as C Squared said, his set pieces were a little more errant. Oscar says Hartl was good, created more today, still playing without support in the creative half. Although we're going to talk to someone that did come up big today. Amy, what did I say? What did I say, Amy? What did I say? Yeah, but Hartl was good. Hartl was good today. Another player that this one's going to be kind of interesting. So Cedric Toyshirt, he's been like the invisible man on offense. And partly it's not necessarily his fault. They haven't been linking up to him very well. And he's also getting back to fitness, which, I mean, said he did play 71 minutes today. He's getting a little bit deeper into games and had 2 shots on target. One of them went in and one of them was very nicely put in. I mean, he's scoring. Amy's saying, I'm assuming you're talking about Morales. No. Cedric Toyshirt, I thought. Let's see here. Let's keep this conversation going. Aaron E., who needs to be held accountable for consistently not being at the back post on corners and set pieces? Who gets graded for that? Jerry, you were complaining about that before. That's an Alex Langer question. Ben thinks that said he was good for the goal. He generated 2 quality chances. His XG was 0.77. He didn't have a lot of touches. He still was. They weren't connecting to him very well. But I mean, he was 7-7 passing. I mean, he was effective and he scored, and he got shots on net. One of them went in. Oscar thinks low good. Ben thinks good for the goal. Oscar thinks low good because he barely touches our participates. That's that's a good point. But I don't know if that's necessarily Seti's fault or if it's just a symptom of our problems getting the ball forward. Maybe it's an issue of Seti not getting in the proper position to receive passes, or I don't know. I would have to actually watch this back again and study him to see exactly where the disconnect is with Seti. Jerry thinks that Seti was good plus. Finally found a run in space for the goal, which is that's kind of his game. So just like with Morales, if I would put Morales teetering in bad trash right here, I'm gonna say Hartl was kind of here. Like where I have him right here, kind of teetering on great, but his overall body of work, as Oscar said, still is kind of lacking just in the fact that he just doesn't have much impact on the game in general. But when he does, I mean, he scored though. He scored. He had a chance. I'll go with Jerry's good plus on that. I'll put him in good, but he's kind of around here, honestly, for me. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then finally, Joao Klaus. So Joao Klaus showing LAFC how they should be deploying Olivier Giroud as that holding striker. Meh with Klaus. It wasn't maybe good for Klaus. He wasn't. He didn't have particularly a ton of touches this game, I don't think. I'm just trying to look back and see. what he actually did. They only had 25 touches, so he also wasn't really a factor on offense. He was trying to make things happen, off the ball, which it's the great disconnect with Klaus and fans in that they don't see what he does away from the ball. But Klaus was definitely trying to make things happen away from the ball. He was going back, as he typically does, to help out in transition defense as well. Had a couple stabs at net. Neither one hit target really, so he doesn't get much credit there. I'm thinking Oscar does point out that he did win some aerial duels. He even had a couple headed clearances as well. He had 5 passes into the final third, which has to be complimented. What do you guys think? Ben thinks low good. Twelman first half said he was great off the ball, disrupting their offense. Yeah, that's true. It's so hard to look at pure numbers with Klaus and just judge him based off that and not take the whole body of work into account. So I'll go kind of like a here for Klaus, leaning more towards the good side. But this is about where I would put Klaus, is right around here. But I'll put him in good just for argument's sake. I would put more tiers on this tier maker, by the way, but then everything would be kind of smushed on the screen. So I want to try to avoid that. I want these to be as pretty clear as possible. But yeah, I'll put low good's fine for Klaus. He had a good effort. We will save Olaf for later. And then I'm just going to move them up. Okay. Coming off the bench in kind of an emergency situation was Akil Watts. By the way, Olaf using all 5 subs today. Or I guess the one was the concussion sub, but Akil Watts came on in the 38th minute for a dinged up Conrad Volum. Thoughts on Akil Watts? Did nothing really egregious for me. I did find it interesting with Watts in when you're looking at the Denny Bouanga goals, Akil Watts was nowhere to be found. Even though Watts was brought on to be a right wing back, it felt like they moved him more into a central midfield role as time went on. Kind of as a second holding 6 along with Morales before Morales, did what he did. But so I thought, C Squared says that Watts was Ben says Watts was meh. C Squared was meh. I don't think Watts had a bad game. He didn't. I mean, he did nothing that stood out, and that's the definition of meh for me. It's not a bad meh. It's just he was fine. He was fine. And that's and again and mark this down. This is another week where I'm not dogging Akil Watts because I've dogged him plenty in the past before, but he's fine. And honestly, if he's a sub off the bench, maybe that's his best role. Just coming off the bench, and into a more defensive minded role. I think that might be his role going forward. Oscar saying meh as well. I just think Akil Watts is stretched as a starter. Kind of like the same way that I think Morales is stretched as a starter. I think that Josh Yaro is stretched as a starter. Hebert is probably stretched as a starter a little bit, although Hebert, I think, is more consistent than Yaro. But yeah. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then a trio of subs coming on in the 71st minute. First one we'll talk about Simon Betcher. Simon Betcher, I thought he had a pretty good game. A good shift coming off the bench in the role that I think he is built for. He is a physical, disrupting type of a forward that can hold up play a little bit, but also just kind of wear on a defense. And if he's fresh, coming off the bench with fresh legs, I think that's his most effective role. He almost got the second goal. He was definitely right in there on that. 9 of 11 passing. He was good passing. He did have a shot on target. I think that was in that kind of scrum that led to the Nilson goal. had a lot of touches for the time that he was out there. He had 20 touches in about 25 minutes, which is kind of a lot for a player in his role. A couple in the box, had 4 passes into the final third. And I thought he did his job today. I thought he did his job coming off the bench. I like what Ben did for the time that he had, says Ben, and I agree. I do agree with that. And Simon says good. So I'm going to go with that. Simon had a good game today. And I'm happy to see that from Simon, because I had been kind of dogging him lately as well. Even though I got him on the, I got him on the back of the confluence. Get Aaron. Are you wearing your Betcher? Because I am. And there's a reason I have Betcher on the back, because I genuinely like him. Oscar says meh, but I thought Simon had a really good shift out there. He did his job disrupting and being a pain in the ass. So, yeah, I'll give him a good. Actually, I missed one sub earlier. Celio came on before anyone else at halftime. Thoughts on Celio? Was it, even though the second half was, and yes, Aaron is wearing his Betcher. Very nice. Me and Aaron got copycat jerseys. Celio, it's so funny because even though we had such an exciting second half, and you bring on Celio to generate some excitement in the second half, Celio didn't do much. He wasn't really a factor. And I keep thinking back to when Marcel Hartle just completely ignored him breaking on the left and tried to feed it over to Watts. And that was like when I was at the height of my absolute disenfranchisement with the game until Toyshirt finally scored. Oscar kind of harsh, thinking Celio was bad, not at his best. 9 of 12 passing. He only had 28 touches in, over 45 minutes. Just wasn't really much of a factor. Only 3 passes into the final third. Wasn't winning his ground duels. I did notice that he kind of moved him back into a right wing back spot. And I think Blanca torched him once. He's not a wing back. Ben thought that Celio was good because he was fighting for balls. Celio added energy, says Jerry. He speeds the game up, gets others moving quicker. So that could have been a byproduct of that. Fatmob pointing out that Celio lost the most duels in the game. He was a non-factor on defense, which I think we just have to accept the fact that Celio is not a defender. And that's been something that's been kind of going for a while. He's just not a defender. And he did give up the ball for the second LAFC goal. That's actually a good shout. This one's tough because he did give up that ball, and that was a pretty bad giveaway. Oscar made some good arguments for Celio to be in the bad category. I was thinking kind of meh before then. Jerry thinks meh minus. So do I put him like around here maybe? But you know what? For someone that's brought on to make an impact, and if he doesn't make an impact, bad. I hate to do it to Celio, but yeah. Higher hopes for Celio, says C squared, makes it seem more disappointing than I think his performance was. But he is brought on to be a spark, and it just wasn't apparent to me that he was providing much. It's a tough one. As Jerry, I agree with it. It's kind of a tough one. Ryan thinks that Celio was meh, but Oscar made some good arguments that Celio just had an off night. So I'm going to leave Celio there, maybe a little bit controversially, but he just didn't do anything that really impressed me tonight. Moving on, we have a couple more players to rate, and then we're going to rate Olaf in the end here. First one is Joachim Nilson, the goal scorer. Joachim Nilson. First game back for Joachim Nilson after one of his many injuries. So I thought that when he went down again, I thought that was the last we would see of Joachim Nilson, honestly, but he's back. Before the goal, I wouldn't have much to say about Joachim Nilson. but he got the goal. I mean, he was in the right place at the right time. In fact, he got the goal because he made the shot in the first place that got saved, and then he got turned around and it went off his back. I mean, we got a goal off of Nilson's back today, literally. Um, yeah. Yeah, I'm also kind of curious what the defense will look like without Yaro and Hebert as well. But back to Nilson. Well, it might be seeing what that might look like. Joachim Nilson. Oh, that was an old goal, so it wasn't off of Nilson's back. Darn. Then I guess, I'll put him in meh. Then I was gonna rate him nicer based on if he had scored, but I guess if it did go off Ordaz, then it was then. I mean, he did still generate the chance that for Ordaz to make the own goal. Yeah, I hear you, Oscar. But I mean, he did have the shot in the first place that was saved and then went off Ordaz's back. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot to write home about with Nilson. Just and then Makai Joyner. Makai Joyner. I liked what Makai Joyner brought. Like when you're talking about bringing on a spark plug and a more energy off the bench, to me, Makai Joyner brought that. I was a lot more impressed with Joyner this game than I was with the Vancouver game, where he had about a similar amount of playing time. Because remember, in Vancouver, it was just him and Celio that came on in the second half. Joyner, I thought was solid when he was out there. He was running around like his hair was on fire, trying to make things happen. He did have a shot from outside the box. I called for him to take the shot, but it was blocked. And Aaron makes a good point. Joyner plays unafraid. I mean, maybe it's just that teenage precociousness in him, but I thought Joyner looked very strong. Like it's not shown in the stats so much because he only was like 1 of 2 passing. But I love the energy and the effort. So did Ben. I'm going to give him a good. I'm going to give Joyner a good. I want to see more of Makai Joyner, and I'm really curious now because they've used 3 of his 6 potential appearances now. Do they just go ahead and put him on the supplemental roster at this point and just make him a part of the team now? Because it is clear that Olaf has some faith in Makai Joyner with how he's been using him the past couple of weeks. Maybe it was the response to us calling Olaf out for not playing the kids before. But Ryan is right. Energy and effort can get someone a long way in this fan base. And Aaron thinks that waited a bit too long to take that shot. That's fair, but otherwise was solid, and we need more hair on fire. Oscar saying Joyner put out a lot of courage, didn't get many touches, but he knows he has to run and doesn't give out the ball. He understood his assignment because he's fresh legs at the end of the game, and he was absolutely running around like a madman, and that is what you need. He understood the assignment. Joyner, very good. And yeah, it is kind of hard when the teammates don't give him the ball as much. It feels like he has to work for his own opportunities a little bit, which that might be another issue in of itself. All right, now we get to Olaf. So our final rating, Olaf. He did use more of his subs. He used more of his bench this time around. I was very dissatisfied with the first half because I thought we played too much into a deep turtle. And it was just quite frankly just painful and boring to watch. And I was getting, you heard me. I was getting very frustrated with how we were looking in that first half. And then second half, switch goes off. Well, maybe not right away in the second half, but it actually kind of did because we actually started off the second half on the attack. You wonder what he said to the players, and what exactly he instructed the players to do at halftime. Maybe this was the plan, was to just weather them in the first half, like Muhammad Ali against George Foreman, Rumble in the Jungle, when he just you tire out the superior puncher, and then you kind of strike. I still don't like how scared we play at times, though. And He'll argue that it's tactical, and his defenders will argue that it's tactical. I think it's just too extreme defensively. But I do appreciate that in the second half, we switched it up. We even played a 4-3-3 at points. I thought that he showed more willingness in the second half to change it up a little bit and adapt and change the philosophy a little bit. We were pressing a little bit more in the second half. We spread out a little bit. Oscar thinks that Olaf was meh. Ben thinks that Olaf was meh. I do agree that the sub for Ostrak, Celio for Ostrak was questionable. Yeah, and then maybe Morales should have been taken out of there earlier. Like, is this when we see JGR? When Morales is on that second yellow, and like if you actually look back at the game. Morales got the second yellow in the 83rd minute. Remember, Morales is not meant to play 90 minutes. That was kind of the MO on him. He's not supposed to be a 90-minute center mid. He's just not. 83rd minute, he is getting a second yellow. Should he have been taken out earlier? Should we have seen Miggy Perez out there? Should we have seen JGR? When will we see JGR? What is up with JGR? So, put in another 6 somewhere else doesn't have to get in those situations. We have one, JGR. We don't play him. You could have played Akil Watts as a true 6, and then you put Miggy out there to be kind of a box-to-box. I'm not saying that would have been the right move because I'm not as high on Miggy as others are, but you had options. Instead of leaving Morales out there on his 34-year-old legs in the 83rd minute to get a second yellow, whether it was fair or not, he got it. He put himself in a position to get a second yellow. And he was put in that position to get a second yellow because Olaf left him out there. And yeah, Ryan thinks that it could have been upgraded to good with a better starting game plan. I don't necessarily disagree with the starting game plan. I just think it was a little too strongly defensive. But, I mean, we're leaving LA with a point, whether we deserve it or not. But why are you leaving Morales out there in the 83rd minute? Meh. We got the point, but I still scratch my head when it comes to Olaf. So that's the ratings right here for you. Ben Lunt, man in the match. A whole lot of good this game. Probably the most good out of any game that I have covered so far this season, honestly, except maybe the LA Galaxy game, honestly. I don't even know if I had that many players in good for the LA Galaxy game. I'll have to go back and look. And no one truly trash, although we had 2 players, Yaro and Morales, kind of flirt with that one. And Alex Langer, Jerry Hayes is not a fan. So yeah, not great. Usually Langer is great. And JGR was not on the bench. So okay, where is JGR? What is going on with him? But then Benson would have had to come in and you move pieces around. That's fair. But anyway, those are the player rankings. That is going to be a wrap on this watch along as well as the player rankings. If you enjoyed this video or this watch along, if you're still watching along with that, please make sure to drop a like on this because it really does help the algorithm out and helps this channel out and helps this channel grow. If you're watching the watch along, or excuse me, if you're watching the player rankings video and you have a comment on any of my rankings, I want to hear them from you as well. And make sure to subscribe because that helps this channel out. Big thank you to my zombie ultras, all 14 of you, including Super Ravioli. If you're still hanging out there in the chat room there, Ryan Fraley, I've seen you today as well. Jeremy Clementi, you were here earlier. Jerry Hayes, David Cotton, I saw you earlier as well. Bucket Hat, you've been hanging out. Angus, you've been in there. Aaron, you were in there. You guys help keep this channel going. And of course, everyone that is in the supporter section, including Amy Murr and others, thank you so much. You guys are the originals and help keep this channel alive and going. So thank you so much for that. This is your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin here, and I will not have an away watch along for this coming weekend, May 3rd. It's we go to Seattle for that one. I will be in the Northeast. I will be in New England. I will be actually, during the time that game is being played, I will probably be driving back with David Cotton from Rhode Island FC, or I might still even be in Providence, Rhode Island after the game. Who knows? But yeah, I will not be available for the next away watch along. So check back and see when the next one will be. I'll have to take a look at the schedule. Of course, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys for taking part in this. Super Rav had a lot of fun. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much, Rav. Aaron E giving me some claps. Orlando with the 4 thumbs. Jerry Hayes with a multicultural clap there. Thank you very much. And everyone, have a good night. We got a point in LA, and I don't think we should be too angry about that. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it.